Hey, I'm back. So the thing that I kind of left off on is that in society nowadays, men are just kind of like perpetually in the state of like being frat boys and like not really, they'll be 35 years old and acting like late teens or whatever. Um, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they've kind of taken a back burner to women as far as society is concerned. I'm all for female empowerment. If a woman wants to be a president, more power to her. Um, I'm not just going to vote for someone as president based on being a woman, believe me. I think our society's been there. I'm not going to get too political, but I think with our last election, there was some voting based on a precedent of having, someone in office that we haven't had before. I'm not going to vote someone just based on the fact that they're a woman, but if there's a woman with good political, ethical sorts of positions that I agree with, then I would probably vote for a woman as president because I'm all for female empowerment, and if there's a great political candidate who's a woman, then I would vote for her. But I wouldn't just vote based on solely that she's a woman. So I'm all for female empowerment. However, like I said in previous videos, and I think I'm kind of just being a little bit redundant, that, feminism has kind of had a sort of a negative effect on society in the sense that men nowadays seem kind of frat boyish and pussy whipped, and not only that, I'm not going to say that all men are just like wimpy. Sometimes they've used this thing to their advantage in the sense that, okay, women nowadays, that, because of the whole sexual liberation of the 60s and 70s, women think, oh, I can just go out. Why do guys get to be, to a certain extent I agree with it, but anyway, women are like, why do guys get to go out and be just like man whores and slutty and sleep with a bunch of women, and that's just guys being guys? Why isn't it the same standard for women? Why are women all of a sudden called bitches and sluts and stuff? Women are just as capable of being sluts as men are. I think actually women can be just as much or more so slutty than guys. And so I kind of understand where they're coming from, because back in the day, women just had to be docile and, and wait for marriage and everything else to have a relationship or have relations with a man. If there was a woman who was just sleeping around, she was just, awful. She was like the town whore or whatever. But for guys back in the day, that was just like, oh, men are being men, and, it was like normal. And so I guess with the whole sexual liberation, female empowerment thing, women were just like, well, women, why is there a double standard? Why can't women go out and do the same things that guys do? So women were more liberated in the 60s or 70s to go out and be slutty and sleep around and and just, have many multiple partners sexually. And but there's a downside to that because, other than STDs and shit, there's another downside in that because of that, well, men are like, well, they're like commitment phobes now, because they're like, well, there's so many women out there who are just willing to make themselves available to men that are not requiring me to put a ring on it. So why not? Why should I have to get married? Why should I have to settle down? There's so many women that are just making themselves available that there's really no point to get married or settle down or just like be committed to anyone, And there's, so many women that are just willing to have a relationship with me or even have my babies without any kind of commitment of marriage or, exclusive relationship or whatever. you know, so many women just willing to throw themselves at guys and, you know, just for a one-night stand or whatever, or, you know, just be that way, that guys are, like, becoming more and more commitment phobic and being like, well, you know, if there's no need for me to be committed in a relationship or be in a committed relationship because I'll get women anyway, regardless, I can just go out to a bar and find any number of women who are just willing to throw themselves at me, then why is there any need to court or date or get married or anything else, you know? And I'm kind of pro-marriage and kind of not, and kind of a whole other topic that I'll have to explain, but I see it as a negative thing, because then women are just making themselves a sexual object, just as much as men were in the 50s and 60s, just making themselves sexual playthings or sexual objects and objectifying themselves. So I hate that song by Beyonce, Put a Ring on It, just because to me it's not good music, but it does have a good message in the sense that, hey, you want to, you know, fuck with me, you know, you want to shag with me, you better be committed, you better, you know, see marriage as a potential thing, you know. Hey, I think there's a Jesus picture on my wall. Kind of like, gonna put it in the Smithsonian or something. Like the lady with the cheese toast. I didn't even notice that before. Anyway, so then, you know, because of this whole thing, then marriage is being seen less and less as something that, as a necessity in society. Marriage or commitment or committed relationships is seen less as a need in society. And eventually, and I'm not saying this because of the gays or anything else, because I'm all for gay rights for the most part. I don't think it's a gay thing, but I think because of divorce, because of this whole, you know, sexual liberation thing, in the aftermath of that, marriage is being seen less and less as an ideal in society. Oh, you don't have to be married to have blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. You can just do whatever you want to do, and it's okay. I think that a lot of times people rush into marriage just because, oh, oops, we had an oopsie and now I'm pregnant, and so now we better go and get married so we can look good to people, or, you know, take care of our child the proper way, or get the, you know, legal benefits of whatever. And, or, oh, we've been dating long enough, we might as well just take the next step and get married, you know? Or, you know, for people who are more religious or conservative, oh, well, we want to have sex, we might as well get married so we can make it legit. Well, a lot of people rush into marriage, and then they end up not really being that compatible with each other, or one or the other of them ends up being a dirtbag, and so then divorce takes place. And there's so much divorce nowadays that people are just like, whoa, well, there's so much divorce anyways, and blah, 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 and what's a piece of paper, and we just might as well be a committed couple for like 40-something years. And then maybe later on down the road, they're like, oh, well, we've been together for 50-something years, we might as well get married and make it official. You know, it's just weird. And but because of this in society, then guys kind of feel like, well, I can just be a perpetual frat boy, sit on my couch, drink a beer, and not have to worry about a woman being around to pester me or harass me. You know, I can just go out and sleep with as many women as I want, and it's cool, you know. And so what I really want to do is do like sort of a public service thingy, and not to preach. I'm preaching to the choir, but not to just preach at people, because I'm not a preacher, I'm not ordained or anything like that. I'm just saying, men need to step up and, like, be fucking men, and women need to realize that they can't have it both ways. You can't be a fully liberated, macho female and then still use big crocodile tears and manipulations and everything to control the men in your life. That's not fair, and that's not right. You need to make up your mind what you want, and go for it. Like, it's a double standard. It's a double standard to say you're a liberated female and then use that liberation, or still use your womanly wiles, one or the other, to manipulate men into things that are unfair and that are just not right. And men need to step up and stop acting like fucking frat boys at 35 and decide to just, like, be men. Go out, find a woman, woo her, marry her, have kids. If you're not ready for marriage, don't rush into it by any means, but just step up and be a man and take back your manhood. Take back your balls, because, you know, you're a man. Be a manly man. And just fucking, I don't know, just don't be pussy whipped and don't be a coward. Step up, be committed. Don't be manipulated by women. Don't abuse women by any means, because that's evil. But don't allow yourself to be manipulated by women. By the same token, you need to step up and be a man and take care of your responsibilities, and don't just let your dick rule your head. And, you know, one-night stands are fine. They're kind of fun and stuff, but what's really important and vital, and at the end of the day, when you're like 60 years old and you've just been a perpetual bachelor, you're going to regret not having settled down and had a life, had kids, had a wife, stuff like that. You'll be like, man, I've bedded thousands of women and I've never had a real fucking relationship. And so that's my public service announcement. And women, like I said, don't just manipulate men. You need to use your womanly wiles, your womanly ways, in a positive way. In a way that's not only empowering to women, but empowering to men as well. And that's my soapbox, and I'm getting off of it now because I have to go and do stuff. And someone's knocking. Anyway, take care, Facebook friends and frenemies. Bye.